Greetings, vinyl community. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world, whatever time of day it is. I hope you're all doing well. There is a lot to get through today. In fact, we're going to start this video off quickly, but correctly. Cheers, everyone. I think throughout this video, I'm going to be having some kind of internal dialogue going around in my head. Whether to cut this off at some point and do a two-part video, or do one big long video, I guess. Or in football talk for my American friends, and I guess Canadian friends, I'll be calling an audible. How's that? In fact, there's so much vinyl I've picked up since my last video. If I was to pick it up and show it to you, I'm pretty positive I would be pulling several muscles, which I don't want to do. But if you want to see that, you leave a comment, and next video just for you, I still won't do it, but I'll know what kind of person you are. Yeah. Once again, cheers everyone. Thank you for watching my videos. Thank you for subscribing. I really do appreciate it. We're going to start this video off with some non-vinyl finds. Not a lot. If you're here for the vinyl, I understand that. There's a slider there. You slide it through. Or if you have a laptop, there's a mouse or a touchpad, I guess. To me, holding a record, then you know we're into the vinyl. These aren't any ordinary non-vinyl finds. I've never found these kind of things at thrift stores before, which I'll show you now. There was a grand opening of a thrift store a couple weeks ago. In fact, I'm pretty sure some of you watching were there. Hi, Andy, if you're watching. I saw Andy there. You don't know Andy. He's a cool guy. No vinyl to be had, but this was the first time I've found anything like this at thrift stores. I found a bunch of DTS and DVD audio 5.1 mixes, which are pretty valuable as I found out. I found a DTS, I'm not sure if this is 5.1, DTS audio copy of Sting, Nothing Like the Sun. I found a copy of, this is a DVD audio 5.1 mix of the band's The Last Waltz. Very excited about the next three. DVD audio 5.1 mix of Fleetwood Mac Rumors. I'm getting to the point where I have every format, everything of this album, and it's becoming an illness at this point. But Fleetwood Mac Rumors 5.1 mix. Very excited about this one. 5.1 mix DVD audio of Yes, Fragile. This one as well, another DVD audio 5.1 mix of Queen, Night at the Opera. I've not listened to this one yet. I'm kind of curious what they did in 5.1 for this one. And finally, possibly my favorite album involving Ry Cooder. He produced this, he brought it all together. But it's the Buena Vista Social Club. If you don't know them, Cuban, awesome. This album did really good business back in the day, around the early 2000s. This is another 5.1 mix of the Buena Vista Social Club. Very good album. If you've not heard this album, sample it. It's Cuban, but you know what? You might like it. I never thought I would like it. And finally, for the non-vinyl finds, I just found this interesting. Someone donated, I think, pretty much their entire Sleater-Kinney collection. In fact, right now you're listening to one of these CDs. I'm hoping you can't hear it too much, so I won't get caught on a copyright here. But you're listening to this one right now, actually. This is The Woods by Sleater-Kinney. In fact, like I said, not their entire catalog, but 6 CDs. The Hot Rock, Call the Doctor. This is, I think this is their first album, actually. What's this, One Beat? I think this is a self-titled EP. And like I said, you're listening to Sleater-Kinney, The Woods right now. Maybe my favorite Sleater-Kinney album. If you don't know them, investigate them. Very good all-girl band. All right. Let's get right into the vinyl. We're going to start with some new vinyl that came in the mail. This came yesterday, I believe. It's a continuation of the David Bowie 7-inch picture disc collection, which I have all of them, so now I've said this before to you. I'm caught in that situation where I might as well buy them all now. I'm so far into it. But this just came out, and now we're getting into the really interesting part of David Bowie. Boys Keep Swinging is the latest addition to the David Bowie picture disc collection. And in fact, the next one is DJ, which I just pre-ordered. So that will be coming pretty quickly here. But Boys Keep Swinging, the latest in the David Bowie picture disc collection. Last video, I was talking about the Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle. And I had picked up a recent, I guess the current North American copy that's going around, which was good. And at that point, I was talking about a version on the Big Beat label out of the UK and how many audiophiles, which I don't really trust all the time, but it's kind of universally known that the Big Beat UK pressing, which is done from the original analog tapes, is the best pressing out there. And I was kind of saying, well, I kind of want that one. Well, guess what? I found that one. In between the last video and this one, I found a copy of Odyssey and Oracle on the Big Beat label. You can tell by in the corner here, instead of the, what was it, CBS? There's some CBS pressings out there. It's the Big Beat logo there. And I did play this one, and I did do an A-B comparison with the kind of modern day one that's available in North America. And honestly, to me, it's not even comparable. If you're looking for, and honestly, I would, you'd be hell bent to find an original pressing that sounds this good. I just can't see you improving on this one. The Zombies, Odyssey and Oracle. If you're looking for a inexpensive copy of this one, where the sound is absolutely amazing, taken from the original master tapes in the UK, go for the Big Beat label ones. It's amazing. So I was happy to find that one. So what do we got else here? We got just a couple new records that came in the mail. I finally got around to adding to my Voivod collection. Voivod, if you don't know Voivod, and who doesn't, maybe one of the best technical progressive metal bands to ever come out of Canada, that of Montreal. But I picked up a copy of Dimension Hatros, maybe my favorite Voivod album with Nothing Face. I hope there's some Voivod fans out there. But anyways, I finally got around to picking this one up. Really great album if you're into that technical kind of metal thing. Voivod, Dimension Hatros is a good place to start. Local store had some extra Record Store Day stock kicking around, and I hadn't been to that store since before Record Store Day, so I didn't know they had copies of this in stock still. But Frank Black, his first album on orange vinyl, Frank Black of the Pixies, of course. For Record Store Day, they did his first album and Teenager of the Year, which I know they still have copies of, and I'll be picking up a copy, but I had to get this copy. Possibly my favorite Frank Black album. Possibly. Anyways, very happy to pick up Record Store Day copy of Frank Black's first album on orange vinyl. I might have to be scant with details here because there's so much stuff to show you. So I apologize. The following two were from a kind of, I'm trying to describe it. There's a kind of like a little mini record fairs that happen in my city once a month, done by a vinyl society called the Dead Vinyl Society. And I think it's once a month they take residency up in a bar or a tavern or a restaurant, etc., etc. And there's a record swap, like I said, a little mini record fair, I guess. And I went to it a couple of weeks ago for the first time in a while, because usually I'm working when they have it. But I picked up some really cool stuff. Not a lot, but what I got was quality. This is an original pressing that I've been holding out for, and I finally found a copy there. So thrilled. I found an original pressing of Stevie Ray Vaughan's In Step. The only Stevie Ray Vaughan album I was missing of his original material while he was alive. I'm still missing The Sky is Crying, which I'll eventually get to. There's multiple copies out there. But very happy to find just an excellent condition copy of In Step by Stevie Ray Vaughan. And a copy of The Flock. I can't remember what year this is even. Early 70s. There's been a lot of talk in vinyl communities about The Flock lately. In vinyl communities, there's, every year there's bands that become the hot band, and people talk about them for about 5 minutes. And a little while ago, The Flock was one of those bands. And I found a copy there for $6. I think this is their first album. Lots of violin. It's hard to describe. You'd have to kind of listen to The Flock. But The Flock is one of those little buzz bands right now that people are discovering, I guess. And here I am, following the herd. And I picked up a copy for $6 of The Flock's first album. Really nice condition copy too. So whoever sold that to me, thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right, let's get to our, is it all, I think all we have left are thrift store finds. And there's a lot. Ugh. What time are we at here? We may have to cut this video off. I found a copy of this not so long ago, a few months back, and I showed it to you. And that was kind of a filler copy of, well, I'm going to blab on too much. But you know, I found a copy of the Poppers, Magic People, on Verve Forecast. The copy I found a few months ago was in decent condition copy. I had a really nice minty condition copy of this album, which I ended up selling to fund a trip, along with a lot of other records. I sell some records to fund trips to Europe and whatnot. And that was one of them to go. Didn't want to let it go, but someone offered me some good money for it. And then I found like a placeholder copy, which I showed you a couple months ago. And then, lo and behold, I find another minty copy on Verve Forecast of the Poppers Magic People. Just a great Canadian psychedelic band. I think this is like the late '60s, I believe. In fact, if my memory serves me right, and I could have the name wrong, I can't remember now. But I'm gonna tell a story to you like I know this to be fact. I'm probably half right. One of the band members was a guy named Adam Mitchell, who actually went on to form a songwriting team with Paul Stanley from Kiss. And they wrote some songs, I believe, I want to say Creatures of the Night. They wrote some songs, and maybe for Lick It Up, I can't remember, but he went on to write some songs for Kiss. There you go. Some trivia you didn't need to know. But awesome. If you've not heard the Poppers, Magic People, I'm sure if you're into psychedelic, I'm sure you have. I highly recommend this one. Very excited to find this a really, really nice condition copy, and this is not being sold. It's going to be handcuffed to my record collection. These are a couple finds that, like I said, I always say this, if you follow me on Facebook, or the Facebook vinyl community, the YouTube vinyl community, I guess it is called on Facebook, you'll have seen me post this as I found them at the thrift stores. I just can't believe I found Bruce Springsteen, Born to Run, but it's the half-speed vinyl audiophile edition of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. I've always wanted this copy. People ask way too much money for it, or maybe it's fairly priced and I'm cheap. But I found this at a thrift store for $3.99. Half-speed audiophile version of Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. Very happy to find that one. And here's another one. I can't believe I found. I believe this is 1961 on the Argo record label, LPS 4003, if you're following on Discogs for the catalog numbers. And who isn't? Etta James, At Last. There's some corner bends, not that bad, but the vinyl is in insanely great condition from 1961. One of the most classic albums of its kind ever. In fact, I was recently reading that the song At Last was inducted into the U.S. National Library of Congress. Once again, facts you don't need to know. Etta James, At Last. Never owned this. I was always holding out for a nice condition original copy, just cuz. Found it at a thrift store for $1.99. Very excited. Very, very, very excited. A nice upgrade copy of Abraxas I found. Like the Poppers, actually, I have a kind of a placeholder copy. My original pressing I actually sold to someone at work who wanted a copy for a Christmas present. Being the nice giving guy I am, he got it for Christmas. He got my nice minty condition copy for Christmas. And I knew, because it's not the hardest album to come across. And then lo and behold, here we go. I found a really nice condition, like the Poppers. I don't care who wants this one at work. This one's staying here. Stuff I already have. Don't really need it, but I'm not leaving it at thrift stores. Really nice condition copy of Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. This is a later CBS copy, but honestly, one of the most essential Greatest Hits albums you'll ever pick up. Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. In fact, that seems to be a recurring album I show you. I'm going to bet you in the last 12 months I've probably found about 4 or 5 copies of that. Because people always want it. An original Island Records pressing of Bob Marley and the Wailers' Burnin'. This is the one that has I Shot the Sheriff on it, as it says there. Once again, a little bit of ringware, but nothing major. Very happy to find a copy of Burning on Island Records. This one I picked up because it's a thrift store. It's $1.99, and the vinyl is so nice that I'm gonna do a mix and match with the copy I have. Copy of Abbey Road by this band called the Beatles. Like I said, lots of ringware, but it's an original Apple pressing. The copy I have in my collection now is the opposite. It has a nice cover, and the vinyl's kind of okay. Gonna do a swap. Our Franken album, as I call them, and that's why I picked this one up. Very nice condition, original Apple pressing of Abbey Road. In fact, I'm not sure if I talked about this when I was in, I did my last London video. Maybe it was the one before that. I was one of those dummy tourists that I did the walk across Abbey Road. And my wife stood right about here and took photos of me, which I will never show you those photos because I look kind of stupid. But anyways, Abbey Road, and I was lucky enough to walk Abbey Road. In fact, I was able to go into the studio itself very briefly and into the gift shop next to it, which was kind of a thrill. Generation X first album. What a nice find this was. I'm not sure if this is the original pressing or not, which is irrelevant. I already have this album, but these are things you don't leave behind. I'm sure everyone knows Generation X. There's one Billy Idol right there. And in fact, there's Tony James, who went on to form Zig Zig Sputnik. There you go. So Generation X, first album I found. You know what are we on? We're at 17 minutes and 39 seconds approximately. I'm going to cut this off. Yeah, I'm going to cut this off in a few albums. Steely Dan, Gaucho, or Gaucho, however you want to say it. Once again, these are albums I already have, but you don't leave nice condition copies of these around at thrift stores. This one's kind of cool, actually. It's Cheap Trick live at Budokan. Nothing fancy. In fact, you might recall in one of my record fair videos, I found a copy with the Obi strip, Japanese. But it's this is in my experience. I very, very rarely find it with the original booklet inside. The booklet's usually gone, or it's a later pressing that didn't have a booklet. This one has the original booklet, which is why I picked this one up. And I might just throw this into my other copy and then kind of pass along this one. But I was very happy to find a copy of Cheap Trick live at Budokan. Budokan. Maybe one of the best live albums of all time. I'm not saying the best, so I don't want to have an argument with anyone. One of the best live albums of all time. Where are we going to go from here? I'm going to park those for another video. I'm going to probably end on these two. Yeah, I got about another 50 left. Paul Simon's Graceland. Just cause. I love this album. In fact, I've talked about this before several times. I think I did talk about this last video. In high school, my friends, but this is a recurring story, sorry. We were all the punks and headbangers in the school. There was a small group of us, and it was very uncool to not listen to punk or metal in front of my friends, which I did. Loved that music, but there was always other stuff I liked to listen to. I think I talked about the 38 Special and a few other bands I used to kind of just listen to on the sly. And this was one of them. What year is it? 1986, so this would have been my first year of high school. I'm dating myself now. But I had a copy of this on cassette, and I loved it. And to this day, it's still one of my, well, I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite albums. It'd be in my top 50, let's put it that way. Paul Simon's Graceland. I have a nice copy of it already, but, you know. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits double vinyl for, what was it, a couple bucks. Beautiful condition copy. What was I talking about earlier? Oh, Bob Dylan's Greatest Hits. This is one of those Greatest Hits albums, this one in particular, that I think everyone should own. It's one of those, if you're into Billy Joel, then you know, but when you play it, it's a double album, so when you play all four sides, you're just amazed at how good his singles were. And I think he gets kind of a bad rap sometimes, but because his later 80s stuff, you know, with that doo-wop stuff, like The Longest Time and Second Wind and blah, blah, blah. But there's the first three sides are just amazing. Billy Joel's Greatest Hits, like I said, probably one of the best Greatest Hits albums you'll find out there. And, you know, we're going to end on this one. I have to keep something. I got to have content, you know, for another video. This is one of those albums that I was not willing to pay for at a full rate, or at a full price that people ask for at record fairs, etc. But I found it, the first time I ever found this at a thrift store, and one of the only Rolling Stones albums I don't have was Dirty Work. I was hoping to find a copy with the red, you know, when it came out it had the red cellophane over it, but this will do, it was a couple bucks. I think this album is worth it alone for One Hit to the Body. You can say what you want about Harlem Shuffle and the rest of the album, but I think this is more than worth it for the song One Hit to the Body. Kind of like Steel Wheels, it was worth it for Rock in a Hard Place. This is worth it just for One Hit to the Body. I don't think it's as bad as people say it is, but I don't mind Harlem Shuffle. I really don't. Oh my God, I still got piles and piles. Like, there's piles all along. But you know, like I said, I gotta save some for another video. In this fact, I'm just looking over here. I gotta clean this goddamn basement because this is turning into a hoarder's dream here with vinyl. But you know, we're gonna wrap this up here really quickly by once again thanking you all. I really do appreciate that you watch my videos. Comment, subscribe. It means the world to me. So thank you very much. Stay tuned for more videos. Cheers, everyone. Once again, I hope you have a great week whenever you're watching this. I hope you're doing well. Take care. Leave a comment. Follow me on Instagram, Nazz_Nomad. NAZZ or ZZ _ NOMAD. Follow me on Instagram. That's where you'll see me posting my records that I'm playing, showing just different little things, little bits and bobs of my life. So follow me at Instagram or on Instagram at Nazz_Nomad. That would be cool. I'll follow you back. We'll become friends. You can see how boring my life is. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next time. David Michael, aka Nazz Nomad. Peace, everyone.